Alright, good morning YouTube. In today's video, we are going to be doing another program review. So this program is going to be submitted by Sparrow. So he is a 5'8", 175-pound lifter. He is hoping to go into the Fire Academy. So I'm going to give you some insight on how I trained when I was in the military, and I did have to, meet some standards. I wasn't the best at meeting them just because, I was kind of stubborn and I preferred being a bigger, heavier guy who was strong. But I was still able to have a decent, I was able to get through my couple years that I was in, right? So while still trying to progress in strength as best as I could. So today I'm joined by Benny, my dog, who is making a mess. And that's my fault for allowing him, but whatever. It keeps him quiet. But so with this, he's explained to me that he's torn between doing like a 3-day full body split or a 4-day upper lower split, and is concerned about where to put his conditioning and GPP. So this is really important, at least for him, because he is trying to be part of a more tactical population. Tactical in the sense of, like when I say tactical considerations, tactical training, tactical whatever, usually that just means police, fire, military. Like if you are in any of those three occupations, you could even include like any like first responders, so even like ambulance and people of that nature. Or that occupation, they can even fall into the category of being a tactical worker. So the way they train should be a bit different. So he came up with 2 different programs that he would like my opinion on, and that's what we're going to be reviewing today. So I'm going to be reviewing it from a couple points of view. First of all is, will it make you stronger, and will it also make you more useful in the environment that you are going to serve in? So let's look at that. So first we have A. So I think, let me look at this, squat, bench, then sumo overhead press. So it's kind of like a full body, and I actually like this a lot. So with for me personally, I usually pair squats and overhead press, just because you're basically in the same rack. Usually the overhead press height that I set the bar to is also my squat height, and then I pair that with chin-ups and hanging leg raises afterward, because it's a lot of compression on the spine. So that's something that I personally would recommend, but it's not by any means mandatory. So it looks like a full body split, and it's going to be an ABA split. So this is the full body template right here, and then this is the upper lower. So 2 different types of upper and lower days, and just looking at them, it's a lift specific split. So there's the body part split where it's like chest day, back day, leg day. There's also something that I just call the lift specific split, which is like bench press day, squat day, deadlift day, and then overhead press day. You wouldn't really have a day called the row day or the pull-up day, just because usually the back is going to be involved in every single training session, at least in some degree. So let's say on lower body days, it's upper back, so traps and like your yoke. But then on lower body days, on upper body days, it's going to be like lats. So just to make sure I said that correctly, because I feel like I said that wrong. Lower body days, upper back, traps. Lower body days, upper body, traps. Upper body days, lats. So that's something worth noting there if you are going to be using the upper, lower, and full body template. So let's look at the upper body day first. Hello, Benson. Bless you. So squats, 3 sets of 6 to 8. That's a good rep range. Bench press, 3 sets of 6 to 8. Also a good rep range. Romanian deadlifts, 8 to 12. I do like that the Romanian deadlift is giving a rep range. Yes, my child. I do like that the Romanian deadlift is... You get one more chance, bro. You get one more chance. All right. So I do like that the Romanian deadlift is in a different... All right, let me escort my dog out of here for a quick second. All right. Sorry, my dog had to leave. But with the Romanian deadlift, 8 to 12, I actually think that's perfect, because with the Romanian deadlift, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to treat it like strength work, at least in my opinion, just because the advantage of it is the fact that you do get to have a more controlled eccentric, you get to have a pause, and you get to really develop the posterior chain. But the thing is, that also means it's very demanding. One thing I would kind of recommend though, if your lower back can handle it, pair the barbell row and the Romanian deadlift. There's a couple of things that this will do. First, it will force you to keep the weight somewhat light. And because it's lighter, you could potentially expand the rep range. But this will also kind of like carry over into like the more conditioning and GPP stuff. So when it comes to conditioning and GPP, there's two ways to kind of go about it. First is just do straight up conditioning and GPP. Just either one thing that I used to do was 10 minutes in the beginning of the session, kind of like as a warm up, and then, but it was kind of like more like you overcook yourself in the beginning, and then you continue to cook yourself. So by the end of the session, you're burnt. But that's a exaggeration. Don't actually follow that to the T. So it's like 10 minutes in the beginning and then a 10-minute finisher. So somewhat like a Brian Alsruhe kind of way of going about it. So in the beginning, let's say I'll do like every minute on the minute, like let's say squats and jump squats, or I'll do odd minutes, I'll do push-ups, and even minutes I'll do inverted rows. So it should be easy movements, but they should make you somewhat out of breath, and they should have you use the muscles a lot. So that's kind of one way to go about conditioning in GPP. The second way is to actually structure your training, like your day-to-day actual workouts, strength training workouts, in such a way that conditioning in GPP is a variable to be used. Now, people are going to say something like, that is going to result in less strength and size gains. And yes, that's the point, because you are going to be getting more GPP and conditioning gains. I always think it's interesting how people just want to maximize and optimize everything, but they don't really understand that the more things you include, the more sacrifices you have to make. If you are bulking, you have to make the conscious decision of what amount of fat gain is tolerable for me, and just do that. So for me personally, I have to be very careful with it because I can go off the edge really easily, and my ability to lose weight is not as strong as it used to be, just because of like, you know, my preferences, my lifestyle, and everything of that nature. There's other things that I would much rather do, and other techniques that I would much rather implement, rather than just being okay with, let's say, adding 3 pounds of fat for 1 pound of muscle, because 1 pound of muscle is hard to build. Now, for someone who is able to kind of just like, you know, they have the mindset of I can lose 2 pounds easy, or 2 pounds of fat easy, then yeah, go ahead. Get 2 pounds of fat for 1 pound of muscle. Do that for a couple times, and then go from there. But when you are going more so with the conditioning, in addition to your size and strength goals, you have to understand that size and strength are going to take a hit in relation to how much conditioning and GPP you get. But there is an argument to be made that GPP and conditioning potentiates strength, and how it actually helps you be stronger, because you are more fit and can actually handle heavier training sessions like easier, right? And that usually means you can handle more volume and more intensity within the session because you're fitter. That's why Matt Wenning developed his Wenning warm-ups. That's why strong men are strong as shit, but they also have really good like cardiovascular anaerobic capacities. So don't be too worried about that, and just go from there. So with the pairing of the barbell row and Romanian deadlift, like I said, you have to be careful with this. If your low back is like, you know, like if you have issues with the low back, me personally, due to some injuries, there's some concern, but generally speaking, I think the barbell row and Romanian deadlift superset is actually not that bad. Now, generally, supersets are done with little to no rest. And I want to emphasize the little part. So you can do like barbell rows, 30 seconds later, Romanian deadlifts, and then just alternate between the two for 3 sets and go from there. I would also include some type of superset on the squats and bench, like maybe squats, hanging leg raises, bench, and chin-ups, or something of that nature, just depending on how your gym is set up and what superset is like feasible for you. Now, lateral raises and face pulls, barbell bicep curls, and tricep extensions, and calf raises. I would alter these to be more of a giant set, and I would bias your exercise selection to calisthenics and, let's say, sled work. So one thing that you can do, like let's say it's you do lateral raises, bicep curls, tricep extensions, and then battle ropes. And then on the next one, you do bicep curls, tricep extensions, and sled pushes, or like farmer's carries. You want to include things like that. So because conditioning and GPP is a part of what you're going to do, one way you can include it into your training, and actually the weight training or the resistance training portion of the day, is to just put a type of conditioning work with your isolations. I don't think that you are going to lose out on any benefits of the isolations or the conditioning by doing this. So like I said, lateral raises, biceps, triceps, battle ropes, and then you do let's say rear delts, bicep curls, tricep extensions, and sled work or trap bar, farmers walks, depending on what you have available to you at your gym. Dumbbell farmers walks, because some people don't, because like some people can get away with that just because, you know, they can't really do 100 pound or 100 pound plus farmers walks yet with a dumbbell in each hand. It's not the best variation, but it's definitely a good place to start. Then you're probably gonna take a day of rest in between. So with the full body day, one thing that you can like definitely do is full, like let's say you do your A day, so or day 1, then day 2 is a rest day, but make it an active rest day, like an active recovery day. So one thing you can do is like, let's say stair climber, stairmaster. That's going to be really important since you're going to be doing the fire academy, because that is actually like going to be a work related form of like, let's say conditioning, but it's also going to be something that is fairly low impact in comparison to other forms of cardiovascular training, which is something you need to be mindful of with everything else. I'll probably have to make full videos talking about the relationship between strength training and running and how to properly manage the two, or just techniques that I personally have found to work and considerations that I am aware of. Next, we have the sumo deadlift and overhead press day. 3 sets of 6 to 8 on the sumo deadlift, 3 sets of 6 to 8 on the overhead press. On the overhead press, this is fine. There's no real big issue with it. However, I do think that the overhead press should be more like 6 to 10. Generally, when it comes to the overhead press, and really when it comes to any shoulder exercises, I like to expand the range. So let's say like my favorite rep ranges, let's say, are like, for at least for hypertrophy, 6 to 10, 8 to 12, 10 to 15. So one thing that you could do is actually, like, let's say for the overhead press, make it 3 sets of 8 to 15. Like the overhead press is not something that you generally lift the most amount of weight on, and you do want to have big shoulders, so the overhead press can definitely help you with that. And if you were to go with that route, you are expanding the amount of time that you can actually like put in a lot of work with a specific way before you add load, and that is, in my opinion, a benefit. Then we have dumbbell lunges, lat pull downs, chest dips and face pulls, hammer curls, barbell overhead extensions, and calf raises. I would try to find ways to just giant set the fuck out of everything. Like, I mean, let's see, lat pull down, you can do tricep push downs and maybe like some burpees, I don't know, like, or just some other exercise for conditioning. Like burpees is just the first example that came to my mind. Dumbbell lunges, I would do like maybe dumbbell lunges. One of the superset I really like personally is dumbbell lunges and Romanian deads. So but I know you did Romanian deads here, so you can do like dumbbell versions. And one thing you can even do here, if you know how, is like replace this with power cleans, but that's just me. That's just like some thoughts I'm playing around in my head. But we'll just keep moving and continue on with how it's written. So dumbbell lunges, throw a superset, like do some walking dumbbell lunges, go down and back, and then when you get to the end, do some jump squats. Like throw in some conditioning somehow. Like, and one easy way to throw in conditioning too is something called RWA, which doesn't mean like I don't know. I'm not gonna say it, but something with attitude. I mean, rest with abs. So when you are trying to get more conditioned, one way that you can actually do this is just rest with abs. After every set, do like leg raises, or do like flutter kicks, do planks, do hanging leg raises, do captain's chair, do ab crunches, do something, do Russian twists. You can implement all of those things as part of, like, say, a giant set. So like you do like agonist, antagonist, superset, followed by abs, rest, repeat that a couple times. I would limit it to 4 things. So it's like 2 compound ones and then maybe like 2 isolation ones, or you can even do 3 to 1. That's kind of one way I usually go about it when I'm trying to include GPP and conditioning into my training, but that's just my personal recommendation. But lat pull downs, 4 sets of 10 to 12, like this is good, and this is good for building muscle, but at the same time, like I said, muscle is only going to help you, right? However, there's a couple things that you should consider. Like in a weight class sport, you want to be very efficient with the amount of like, you know, like muscle you have. So that way you don't just have like this muscle that's just weighing you down, but it's not really contributing much to your sport. Same thing applies with being in military, police, or fire. You don't just want to be big, You actually want the muscles you have to serve the function that you need for the day or for your work. So when it comes to being like firefighter, being military, there are guys who are like, they're jacked, they're shredded, they're pretty big, they have good muscle development, but they're not the hugest guys in the world. And that's kind of a good thing because it actually makes sure that the muscle that they do have, they can use it efficiently. So I'm not saying don't build muscle. I'm just saying take that into consideration. So I would honestly replace that with chin-ups and do something else. That just makes sure that you're always able to move your body through space, which is going to be really important for a lot of the tasks that are going to be asked of you when you are at the academy. I forgot because I was considering even joining up the firefighters in my city, but I'm just gonna get my degree first and then make decisions afterward if I want to go into something more federal rather than like let's say more on the corporate sector, right? Too personal, whatever. But anyway, I do think that you should be able to move your body through space. That's going to keep your body weight down, and it's going to make sure that the muscle you build is useful muscle. Like, I mean, all muscle is useful, but like, please, like, just don't get too caught up on like the exact wordage for right now. I will clarify it in the future, and like you will kind of like get a better understanding of my training philosophy with this as I continue to produce videos. But generally speaking, 4 sets of 10 to 12 is great for muscle building, but for your goals, trying to build muscle and be stronger, but at the same time include some conditioning. Do some chin-ups, man. Like you can even do chin-ups, chest dips, and then face pulls, triceps, like something like that. That's a good superset right there. Then hammer curls, dumbbell overhead extension, and I don't know, like maybe some sprints or something. Like these are just some things I'm throwing around in my head, and these are things that I've personally done, and it just kind of depends on how my gym is set up. Then calf raises, we can debate how necessary they are for someone in your position. Because like there's an argument to be made that calf raises are preventative for all the load that's going to be put onto your knees, so that could be done there. But like I said, throw this in as part of a superset. Calf raises are not an exercise I believe should just be done just on their own. Like do a giant set with them, do a superset with them. That's what I recommend there. So now let's look at the upper lower. So bench press, and then barbell row. So I like that the barbell row is higher than the bench press. That's usually a mistake I see a lot of people make, is that they treat the barbell row as an intensity movement, or like so let's say you're doing a 3x5 and trying to add weight all the time and you do the same thing on the barbell row, you're stupid. Just kidding, you're not stupid, but you just don't know any better. What you want to do is actually treat the barbell row as a more volume based movement, just because for one, your low back is going to be taxed when you deadlift, and you don't want to do heavy barbell rows and then the next day do a heavy form of deadlifting. And you just want to be very mindful of how you fatigue the low back and how you manage your frequency with that muscle and how you manage the recovery with it. Then chest dips, lat pull downs, chest dips and pull-ups, bro. Do some chest dips and pull-ups, and then maybe do some, like I said, rest with abs. Then one thing I used to do is like bench press, and then I'll do like, let's say, leg raises or dragon flags on the bench, and then barbell rows, and then I don't know, planks or something of that nature. Just do that, like those 4 exercises. Like let's say you do them for like 10-15 minutes and just try to get as many rounds of it as possible. Boom. Size, strength, conditioning. Chest dip, yeah, do it with chest dips and pull-ups, and then like something with abs. Lateral raises, do lateral raises, do lateral raises, biceps, triceps, and then like farmer's carries, or like some type of loaded carry, or like sandbag carries or something of that nature. Like do something, like include like conditioning into the training, because it's going to keep your workout time lower. Like the thing is every time you try to add something, whether it be another exercises, more sets, more reps, it's going to elongate your training time. And generally speaking, from from your first year of training to your last year of training, like, or whatever you can think about that. Let's say when you first start training, it starts out at 30 to 45 minutes. Then as you progress, it maybe goes up to 1 to 2 hours. And then as you kind of refine what works for you, it usually gravitates closer to an hour 30. When that happens, it really doesn't really go further than that. And that's why like when you have these like older lifters who have just been lifting for so long and do so well, they usually just find that, stick with it, and the session themselves don't really get much longer beyond that point. That's why, generally speaking, I would recommend that you just try to put conditioning within the workout, because like I said, if you were to do conditioning the other way I mentioned, that means you have to add 10 minutes of conditioning before all of this, and then another 10 minutes of conditioning after all of this. that is your option, or you put it within the workout and now the workout stays relatively the same length. So that's what I would recommend there. Squats, say 4 sets of 6 to 8. Romanian deadlift, 4 sets of 8 to 10. Pretty good. Leg press, lunges, calf raise. Do calves with the leg press. If you go on the leg press and you don't do calves after your leg press, like you can rest 30 to 60 seconds and just like kind of alternate between the two exercises. What is like my thing is like, and this is not on you. This is not a personal thing. This is not targeted directly at you. It's just kind of like the mindset like that I see like very common, which is why? Like you are on the leg press. You are probably going to be doing calf raises on the leg press. Usually what I see, like I see this in a lot of time in the gym that I work at and with some friends. They will do leg press and then they will like do like 2 other leg movements, go back on the leg press and do calves. Why? Like, is calves really going to kill your ability to do lunges? No, it's not. And this is, like I said, not a personal thing. I hope it's not coming off as that. But it's just something that is like a very common thing that I just, for the life of me, can't understand. So if there is an actual reason for it, please leave in the comments below and tell me how I'm the dumbass. So I would appreciate that. But yeah, leg presses, do some calves with it and go from there. So one thing that I recommend, like with like squats and here, right? One thing you do is squat, Romanian deadlift. Like there's it's their own strength work. Then they do like maybe some like shrugs, like Romanian deadlift and shrugs, squats and chin ups, right? Then you do some leg press work and like let's say lunges, and then you just do sled work. Like you just pull a sled for the rest of the session. Like let's say that what I just described to you takes like 30-45 minutes. For 15 to 20 minutes, just pull a goddamn sled and boom, conditioning. Boom, roasted. If you're an Office fan, that was the first thing that came into my mind. It comes into mind every time I say boom, roast, or boom, anything. And then comes into my mind, that's what she said. Sorry, I'm stupid. Overhead press, 3 sets of 6 to 8, lat pull down, 10 to 12. Lat pull downs, like one thing you can definitely do is like alternate in upper lower at least. You can alternate between like chin ups and lat pull downs, if anything, or something of that nature. But I do like think that you should bias your training toward the chin up and superset more. Some of my favorite supersets that I like to do for upper body is like let's say overhead press, chin ups, bench press, dumbbell rows, barbell rows, chest dip. Just because, you know, with a barbell row and a chest dip, it's very similar movements, but at the same time, you don't need to like bring the bench press. Like if you do bench press and barbell rows, generally speaking, that means you have to move the same barbell that you're using for the bench down to the floor, row it, then put it back up on the bench. And I'm like, you know, depending on like your actual like let's say size and height, that might be okay. But for most people, it's going to just tax you out too much. And then same thing here, do some giant sets, throw in some conditioning here. That's what I would recommend. Finally, we got lower, deadlift, leg press, hip thrust, lunge, calf raise. These are good exercises. I love this split. Like the thing is, if this was just a strength and hypertrophy kind of split, both of these days are actually really, really good. The only reason why I kind of am picking it apart is just because the conditioning aspect of it. Like the conditioning aspect of it is something that needs to be kind of considered because it's a goal that you have. Though, like for example, you can have the best training program, but if it's not congruent with your goals, it's no longer the best training program for you. This is a great training program. The volume in it is, in my opinion, more than manageable for most people. The set and rep ranges are more than manageable for most people. The exercise selection is not too crazy. It's not too wild. So for size and strength, this is a great program. Many people can run this program with great success. You might need to modify it a little bit to your own personal likings, but generally speaking, this is a great program. The only issue is you want to improve your conditioning. And this program is not going to accomplish that from what I can see. So let's see. Which program do you think would be more beneficial long term? So for you, I think the full body training will be your better option. Like when you are like, let's say in a tactical environment, it's a full body job. Like everything you do is going to require your full body. So you can like kind of argue that, but an upper lower is a good kind of way to start because like if you are doing an upper lower correctly, you're not actually sticking to an actual true upper lower because like I said, on a lower body day, you should be doing upper back. Like, you know, the deadlift, you know, you're working your yoke. So when you do a lower body day, you should do some trap work. You should do some upper back work. And biceps, arms can be trained very frequently. So in my opinion, a good upper lower is really just a a high frequency full body with certain muscles excluded on each day and certain muscles biased on each day. What overall changes and recommendations would you make to the two programs? So I just spent 25 minutes going over that. Would you recommend I add bodyweight movements in addition to the dips? If so, when and where in the program would you recommend I add them in? So with, like, let's say push-ups and pull-ups, right? Like if you decide to go the 10-minute route, like the 10 minutes before and after the session, do something like every minute's on the minutes, odd minutes, even minutes, Tabatas, what else? There's this protocol that I really like, which is 30 seconds of, so you pick 3 exercises. Let's say you do push-ups, dumbbell rows, and I don't know, like burpees, right? Push-ups, dumbbell rows, burpees. You do 30 seconds of each one, then you have 30 seconds of rest. That's 2 minutes of work, or, well, it's really 1 minute and 30 seconds of work followed by 30 seconds of rest. So that's 2 minutes, right? Do that 5 times, that's 10 minutes of conditioning right there. The other option is, if you're just starting out with this, is 20, 20, 20. So that's a minute, then followed by a minute of rest. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. It's just when it comes to conditioning and like this high intensity interval training kind of stuff, just make some ratios between the two, right? So I do recommend that bodyweight movements should be added in. I think I went over it for the most part, but generally speaking, like you don't need to do so much bodyweight exercises if you just alter the way that you structure your weight training. Should conditioning be done on off days or after weight training? And it kind of depends. So like if you are doing the full body, conditioning can be done in between sessions. So but I would keep it to like 30 minutes at most. Like but the thing is, like, do you really want to like go to the gym like, let's say 5 to 6 times, and when you do go to the gym it's just 30 minutes on those off days? Or would you just do something like be physically active, like, you know, go for walks, go for hikes, run around a little bit, go jogging or something of that nature? That is an option there too. And if you do the weight training option, do before and after, because it's going to be high intensity, kind of short duration stuff. So it's not that big of a deal, because what is weight training? High intensity, short duration bouts of exercise. What is high intensity interval training? The exact same thing. So I wouldn't really worry about it all that much. So with that is the recommendations I made are things that I have personally done when I worked out when I was in the military. Either at the end of my sessions I did some conditioning, or I did beginning and end, something of that nature, and that just like kind of like helped to work for me. Now, other things that you can do is like really look at how your training is currently and go from there. I really recommend that there's 2 videos that you can watch on Brian Alsru's channel, which is like free conditioning templates and how to restructure your training to include conditioning and GPP. He actually has videos on this, and when I was in the military, obviously that's super important. So that's how I've been training. That's how I was training for the most part during that time. A lot of the ideas that I shared with you have come from those videos, but also from how I implemented the advice that I found in those videos when I found them so many years ago. But that's my advice there. If you have any other further questions, you have my email. Anyone can email me with their own personal training program, and I will be more than happy with giving my perspective on it. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Cross the King, StanStrength.com. If you would like to work with me on your own strength and physique goals, there will be a link in the description. Or if you would like me to review your program, just send me an email at corel.stanstrength@gmail.com, and I would be more than happy to review your program. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.